All right, so the next thing you're going to want to do is go to your design tab. That's in the team tab. Go to team and then design. It's going to be right at the top, and it'll take you to this page here. You'll notice at the top left it says you have 21 of 21 designers available. You can set your design emphasis. I would recommend and go ahead, just go full out for next season. You're not going to, there are very few leagues that you're going to be able to jump into at level 1 with 10% car performance and be able to actually be competitive. At least with the front runners. You know, you may score points and stuff like that, but you're not going to be all that competitive. Not with the level 3 driver and everything like that. You're probably going to get stomped on. So you're better off, I think, in my opinion, just setting it 100% for next season. Just focus on your second season, because you know you're not going to be champion in the first season, and you're only shooting yourself in the foot by trying to be champion in the first season. So I like to pretty much always be 100% focused for next season. If I can get, you know, my next season's car at 50, 60, 70%, then next season as well, I'll just focus on the following season after that. You do develop this season while focusing on next season. So even though the slider is all the way to the right on next season, when I learn the chassis, when I do a design for a chassis, it's going to give me 1% for this season and then a certain number for next season. So you always get at least 1% for the one that you're not doing. So if I focused 100% on this season, I would get still at least 1% for next season's performance when I design a component. Basically you need a certain number of designers to design. We'll go ahead and go to the next screen. So you can see here I've put one designer on each component: the chassis, the side pod, the front wing, rear wing, suspension, underbody, and internals. When I put the one next to designers, it told me when that model would be finished as far as being designed. So basically my new chassis will be ready for January 16th. I made this account on January 14th, so it does take 2 days to do the first new component. You won't be able to get new stuff on the very next day, but after that, well, no, because you have to wait 2 days on a component. So generally, once you're higher level, you'll only be designing 2 or 3 components at a time. So on Monday, I'll do chassis and side pods. On Tuesday, I'll do front wing and rear wing. On Thursday, I'll do suspension and underbody. And then on Friday, I'll do internals and chassis. And then I just keep going down like that. I kind of do it based on whatever's lowest for next season performance is what are the ones that I'll have ready for tomorrow, basically. But since we're gonna have all new parts ready for the 16th, that means we'll have all new parts ready again on the 18th, all new parts ready again on the 20th, and so on and so forth. As you develop a component, such as the chassis and the side pods, as you develop it, it becomes tougher to develop it. It just becomes more and more difficult. So you will need more and more designers to develop a component as it gets more and more advanced. I'm sure that makes sense. Now, you'll notice on the second half of this page it says spies. I'll kind of touch on that briefly here. Basically, you can spy on the components of a rival team and you can see what percent that component is at. But it doesn't really do you any good until you get the facility that allows you to clone those parts. And that doesn't come for a while. So spying is 100% useless at the beginning. But if you join a league at the beginning of the season, I would still recommend spying, because you may get the ability to clone before the season is out, and then you'll get a huge boost in performance. We'll touch more on cloning later in the future, but basically what it comes down to is you want to go ahead, find out who's winning in the league that you've just joined. You're going to want to go ahead and select them as the team to spy on, and then you're going to want to select a component and then hit save all at the top right. So I've gone ahead and chosen the person who's winning in this league, which is Formula Hype, and I'm going to spy on his chassis. So when we have the race on the 15th, then I will find out exactly what his chassis percent is at, and I'll gain the ability to clone that chassis later on down the road. So again, I won't be able to clone it anytime soon, but that's something that comes later on down the road. So that pretty much covers it for design. So for the right at the beginning, you know, just put one person on each component, and then just keep adding people every 2 days, so that you have new components every 2 days. It might sound a little strange. I might not be explaining it in the best possible way, but obviously you just kind of learn it as you go along. And obviously there will be more about design in future videos, a little bit more updated. Again, I have higher level accounts. My accounts are both, well, they're level 8 and the other one's almost level 8. So you'll be seeing some more advanced stuff later on in future videos. So the next tab that you want to go to, or the next page, is also again in the team tab. You want to go to the team tab and then click on facilities. You'll see here that you have a manufacturing facility and you have offices. Offices determine your staff level, and manufacturing determines your the quality of the parts you create. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and buy that simulator, because that generates better default setups. We'll talk about setups a little bit later on in this video, but go ahead and buy that. It only costs $1 million, and it's the only thing available to you until you hit level 3. So go ahead and buy that simulator, and then the very next thing you're going to want to do is click on manufacturing. When you get to the manufacturing facilities page, you're going to want to go ahead and change the output to high quality, or move the slider all the way to the right. All this does is determine, it determines the quality of the parts that you design, but it ups the cost. But the cost is minimal, so you're going to want to go ahead and just up that all the way, because we're not talking about millions, we're talking about thousands, and you start off with $50 million. So go ahead and change that the manufacturing output to high quality right away. So just to continue on the team tab here, though, the next page that you'll see available when you click on the team tab is the finances tab. Now, this is really not of any importance. Obviously, you can see how much money you have at the top right there. At the time of this screenshot, I had not signed my new driver, so obviously I'm going to lose about another $8 million once I've signed the new driver. So it's gonna take quite a big hit. Don't be worried about that. Again, you do want to kind of be frugal, but you know, the driver is where you should splurge. You know, even if a driver has a $10 million signing bonus, but you really want them, then go for it. Again, though, when you're looking for drivers right at the beginning, you should only be paying them about $200,000 per race. You'll see that the driver that I sent my offer to, she accepted my offer of $200,000 per race, which was significantly, it was about $450,000 less per race versus the person that I already had. So even though it's got the high signing bonus, I'm going to be saving myself nearly $500,000 per race, just by getting rid of the guy that they gave me at the start. So you can see on here, it'll tell you how much you've spent already, staff wages, facilities on the car, so on and so forth. Merchandise sales, that comes in once you get the commercial facility. So obviously right now it's really not important. This whole profit loss thing, it's there if you want to take a look at it, but really, you know, it's not crucial in the opening stages. You know, it's there if you need it. So, or if you're just curious. So the next thing that we're going to take a look at on the team tab is the partners page. So this is where it might get a little intimidating if you weren't already intimidated by the design part. Although it's all really easy once you get it. It really falls into place. So basically, you have 4 sponsors on your car. They go on the engine cover, the side pods, the front wing, and the rear wing. That's important. Make sure you remember that, because you always want to make sure that you're signing up your sponsors for the right, because if you sign up Mick Ronaldo's for your engine cover, and then you try to go sign up Autel outside for your side pods, but you accidentally send them an offer for your engine cover and then you accept it, then it's going to remove Mick Ronaldo's as your engine cover sponsor, and they're not going to be too happy, because you just signed a contract with them. So you always want to make sure that you're signing the right sponsor for the right piece of your car. What you want to do is just click on the piece of advertising space that you want to sell, the engine cover, the side pods. Click on the word. So I clicked on engine cover. You'll see at the top it says sponsors, parentheses, engine cover now. And you'll notice that there are a number of sponsors at the top that have 10 for finances and 10 for image. Those are the ones that you want to be using. I don't see any reason that you would ever use Altel Outside or anybody below that. The only ones you should be using are WTF1, Faux Racer, Inside Sim Racing, Ubuntu, Image Space Inc., iRacing.com, and if you're really in a jam, H2O2. But really, there's no reason to use H2O2 anymore. WTF1 and Faux Racer, those are new. Previously, you only had really 4 sponsors that were 10 out of 10 for finances and image, and then you had the 5th sponsor of H2O2 that was 10 for finances and 9 for image. H2O2 will pretty much give you the same amount of money as the top guys, as far as I know. They're basically 10 out of 10. So I mean, you know, you can go for them too. So similar to the driver, first thing you want to do is comment on these people. So for my engine cover, I'm going to go for WTF1. So I clicked on the WTF1 name in the list there. That brings me to the WTF1 page. So first thing I do is I click comment on sponsor up at the top. I say WTF1 is a great company. Then I go back and I'm going to offer them a contract of 1 race. The reason I'm doing that is because when you end a contract with a supplier or with a sponsor, excuse me, it goes for suppliers too, but when you end a contract with somebody on good terms, it increases your relationship with them. So what you want to do to build up your relationship with sponsors quickly is to just do single race contracts with them. So I'm not going to make much money off this race because I'm only offering them $950,000. But because it's for 1 race, they're going to like me quite a bit more after the next race, and then I can offer them another 1 race contract for slightly more money, you know, for $1,050,000. Just go up a level. And you keep doing that until you get them to 10 out of 10 for relationship, and then you can start getting 1.5 million per sponsor for all 4 of the locations on your car. So you'll be making $6 million per race. You could do this pretty quickly. After about 5 races, I would say, you should have 4 sponsors that are at 10 out of 10. And as soon as you get them to 10 out of 10, just sign them for a 17 race contract at $1.5 million per race. And then you'll be raking in that $6 million per race, which is really going to help you down the road. So you see, it comes in an email here when they accept. I believe when it's red like that, that means they've accepted, as far as I know anyway. If it comes in blue, I think that means they declined. You go to your email, which is up at the top right next to where your money is, then I just clicked on sponsor contract. Comes in an email, says we gladly accept engine cover sponsorship at $950,000 per race for 1 race. You want to have the dot next to accept, and then you go ahead and hit send, and now you have a wonderful new sponsor. So you're going to want to do that for all 4 of your pieces, though. Go ahead and get rid of McRonaldo's, Altel Outside, General Electro, King Burgers. Get rid of all of those guys, and just go for the big names right away. And again, just make sure you're going for single race contracts. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do on the partners page, so you're going to go back to the team tab and then go back to partners, and in the second half of the page you're going to see suppliers for engines, fuels, and tires. So we'll go ahead and take care of engines first. So you click on engine, you'll see that there are a number of engines available. As far as I know, really the only 2 that you really want to be using are Merc and Tifosi. I use Merc. I've stuck with Merc for a while. I've had great success with Merc, so I do recommend using Merc. Alex Gillen has played around with Tifosi. I've had I did a Tifosi engine once, and I had a good result with that. I'm not saying it's bad, but I think Merc is the better one. I'm pretty sure. I don't know everything about this game, obviously. I didn't make it. I haven't been playing it for years or anything like that. But since I have the YouTube page and all that kind of stuff, that's why I decided to make this, to try and at least help people out. I want to get you going in the right direction. Some of you guys may end up finding out more information about this game and becoming better at it than I am. That's great. I hope you do, and I hope you teach me the secrets that you learn so that I can become better at it as well. But I do believe Merc and Tifosi are really the two that you want to be using. So on this account, I'm going to go ahead for Merc. Now, with engines, it's strange. For a 17 race contract, you get 10 engines. But if you do a 1 race contract, I don't think you're guaranteed 1 engine. So I'm not exactly sure how it works with the engines, to be honest. So I always just go for the standard 17 race contract, and I comment on the company every 5 races. So when I sign the contract with them, that'll get me a 6 out of 10, or when I comment on them before signing, that'll get me to 6 out of 10. And then I can comment on them 3 more times before the contract expires. That'll get me to 9 out of 10. And then when the contract expires, that'll get me to 10 out of 10. So basically, I'm going to sign up for a 17 race contract with Merc, 440,000 per engine. I'm fine with that. And then I'm going to comment on them every 5 races. That's how often you can comment on people and companies, is every 5 races. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the full race, 17 races, 440,000 per engine. I'm going to comment on them 3 more times over the course of that 17 race contract. And then I'll be at 10 out of 10 when the contract expires, and then I'll sign them for another 17 races at, I believe it's 280,000 per engine is the lowest you can get when it comes to that stuff. So it's not a huge difference, but every little bit helps when you're first starting out. So the next thing you're going to do on the partners page, again, you're going to go back to team and then partners, and then you're going to click on fuels. Now for fuels, I have tested, because obviously they have different stats. When it comes to fuels, the stats that you're dealing with have to do with speed, which they call performance, and economy, which is fuel economy, of course. I have tested around Subtotal, which is a company that's seen here. You can get you could try Subtotal for yourself, but it's really their economy is really high, the performance is really low, but that does mean you have a lighter car in the race. So it's a tough one. Basically, I would go with Elves. They have an 8 for performance and a 4 for economy, so they're not very economic, but it has the best performance. Beep is 7 and 5 instead of 8 and 4, so really I'd go with Elves or Beep. Recently I've been going with Elves, and I think that's the way to go. So exact same deal. You want to go ahead and comment on them so that you get that 6 out of 10 relationship. Also, you want to build up a strong relationship with them quickly, so I'm going to go ahead and offer them a 1 contract race, or 1 race contract for $24,000. We're talking very small numbers when it comes to fuel. Once you get them to 10 out of 10, you can do 20,000 per race. So the next thing and the last thing that you're going to want to do on the partners page is you're going to want to decide on your tires. Now when it comes to tires, basically what I do with those is the Dunlots, or I mean all of them, they're based on grip, resilience, and operating range. That's the stuff that determines the Dunlots. Or the Dunlots, the tires. So the tires are determined by grip, resilience, and operating range. When you combine those numbers together, you get a kind of total score. The only 2 tires that have a total score of 16 are Dunlots and the Comb Homes. So in my opinion, those are the ones to get. I haven't played around really with the Michigan, the Bridge Rock, or the Goodweek. But if I remember correctly, they all have pretty high grip, but really, really bad resilience and operating range. And when you add their stats together, you only get 15 versus the 16 you get from Dunlots and Comb Homes. So what I would recommend as far as choosing between comb homes and done lots is if you're going to be attending the races, if you're going to be there managing your driver, go ahead and go for the done lots. If you're not going to be there, go for the comb homes, because the comb homes have a much better operating range, which means even if your tires overheat or even if your tires are cold, they'll still work relatively well. Because if you overheat the done lots, or if the done lots are really cold, they're terrible. They're absolutely, you'll be 8 seconds a lap slower than the rest of the field. Whereas the comb homes, if they're cold or warm, you'll lose maybe a second, 2 seconds at most, something like that. It's not massive. So you can still score some nice points without attending a race with comb homes. But if you're going to be there to actually look after your tires and everything, I would go ahead and go for the done lots. So on this account, I did decide to go ahead and go for the done lots, even though I'm not sure I'm going to be there for the first race. Same deal as with the other people. You want to go ahead and comment on them, get them to 6 out of 10 relationship, and then you're going to want to send them an offer for one race for just like 24,000. I think is the cost. Yeah, 24,000 for a single race is what you're going to be looking for there. And again, you're just going to do that until you get them to 10 out of 10 relationship, and then you can start getting 20,000 per race and for just single race contracts, even if you want. And that's going to wrap up this episode. In the next one, we'll be covering how to prepare for your first race.